All right, this Black Myth Wukong thing can be simply put to rest if the developers just came out and said, we have an exclusivity deal with PlayStation, or we don't have an exclusivity deal with PlayStation. It's that simple. I think everyone is overcomplicating it, saying, well, the game and the Series S, like the Baldur's Gate 3 developers, but nobody wants to follow the full context of the Baldur's Gate 3 developers. Because the Baldur's Gate 3 developers showed us an exemplary way to stay as transparent as possible. These cats started their Baldur's Gate 3 release early access, got backing and support, came out on a podcast and said, we tried to launch on all platforms and it about broke us. Even said we've been successful in putting a game on the Switch, which is a challenging console, and then said for the Series S it takes time, but we're able to go ahead and negotiate concessions with Xbox to let them bring the Series S version without the couch co-op. Again, they have the exemplary way. One more thing that is added to the context is that their community manager outrightly came out on Twitter and openly stated that Baldur's Gate 3 was not a PlayStation 5 exclusive. That is the one thing that's missing from Black Myth Wukong's whole dilemma and drama so far. It is the only thing missing. And I see attempts from our audiences to try to say that them saying that the Series S and their experience was the problem, according to this audience member of mine, is the beginning of the deconstruction of my money-hatting argument against PlayStation regarding Black Myth Wukong. I don't have a money-hatting argument for Black Myth Wukong. I do have a money-hatting speculation for Black Myth Wukong. Now that's the difference, because there's room for me to speculate, because my speculation has not been put to rest. Neither has it been dismissed. And I think there is something quite uncanny here, because again, there is grounds for me to speculate, because PlayStation is notorious for blocking games going to Xbox. Is it a bad thing? Well, you tell me. I think it's a bad thing. I think it's a bad thing on the part of PlayStation and developers who do it. Right? That's my position. That is where I've always stood on the matter. I think it's a bad thing for Xbox and developers who do it with Xbox, even to the point where I got swatted down when I was barking up on the tree of Stalker 2 and people said, shut your mouth, go look at your research properly. That's how rabid I was against this whole thing. So again, I need us to keep energy levels very similar across the board. This honest member of mine said this. They said, I'm not surprised that you see you doubling down on your argument by saying they now have to publicly state they didn't accept a deal from PlayStation. I didn't say they now have to state that they did not accept a deal from PlayStation. I just said they have to just tell us that there was no exclusivity deal or that there was an exclusivity deal. It's either of. If not, they give me room to speculate. Again, right? You can pretty much come out here and speculate. You hear my voice. Many people speculate that I'm actually Latino. I used to get this Giancarlo Esposito, Gus Fring comments. People are like, Gus Fring, and then they see me on camera and then they're like, crap, you're black? Because I never told them. The moment they saw me on camera, I removed the speculation. So why can I not speculate on game science? I know some of you are probably thinking he's black. Well, yes. I know. It's crazy, isn't it? And so for somebody to come out and say that, like, me casting doubt on their claims is unfair, I don't think that's unfair. Shout out to the audience member of ours who put this out here today. I don't think it's unfair. You said it's actually goofy to just assume that at this point, when the developer is saying they're still trying to get the game to work on Xbox Series S. If anything, it further narrows down your possible argument to the supposed exclusivity deal being a timed exclusive and not a full console exclusive money-hatting extravaganza like you make it out to be. I'm not making it out to be anything. I'm just speculating based on the available information that I have and don't have. Like, I'm black. That's all I'm doing. So if they cannot come out and say anything, then I can just speculate and say maybe there's an NDA clause in this thing. I could also speculate and say maybe they don't want to cause more drama for Xbox already, seeing as they have. I mean, I can speculate in whichever way I can possibly go, but I'm not drawing any conclusions. That's the difference. If I was drawing conclusions and saying, oh, they definitely, which I'm seeing other people do, I can't help their opinions, right? Even though I could say, well, your opinion is not backed in hard fact, but I can see you being suspicious because we have grounds to be suspicious because PlayStation is notorious for doing this quite often. That is where the rub, in regard to all this stuff is. And so let's go ahead and keep reading because I think this is very interesting. And you said if this is a similar situation to what happened with Baldur's Gate 3, then it only solidifies concerns about Xbox in this generation. What concerns? That they brought out 2 console SKUs and one of them is not as powerful as the other? Well, tell that to the 4060 and the 4090 because, again, we saw that every single hardware generation will bring out different price point based hardware to be able to attract people. We're all mad at the 4060 and its 8 gigs of VRAM, basically limiting it that in some instances, the 3060 outperforms it. But this is standard practice. And in the console space, especially where you're coming in to spend more money on the back end of the hardware, it is even more permissible. Like if, say, in NVIDIA's case, you're buying the hardware and you're paying good money from it up front, to then be bottlenecked is actually insane for that class of, graphics card. And everybody basically warned NVIDIA, if they dare bring out an 8 gigs card, the fans are going to buy it. I'm just being tongue-in-cheek in this regard. Let's keep reading. They will just have to wait longer to play Black Myth Wukong. That's what it looks like. As for now, for 80% of the series owners on Series S, then the actual PR nightmares on Xbox for not sending people to help the company optimize their game. I absolutely have to disagree and push back very heavily with this. Why? Because I'm also an Unreal Engine developer. Unreal Engine provides resources to whichever studios may need help. Their evangelists are constantly on YouTube in almost every conference, almost every GDC, almost every Unreal Engine talk, talking about, hey, here are best practices for optimization. Here are best practices for optimization. Here are best practices for optimization. All over the place, constantly singing it to developers. Try not to do these things. Try not to do that. There are resources everywhere. Xbox is not responsible for how you choose to make your game. If you qualify for their ecosystem, they're happy to give you a development kit, which is the tool that you need, and then the SDK to work with your game engine. They owe you nothing after that. Nothing. So this talk about Xbox should have sent developers to go and help them with their game is setting a very bad precedent, because how are they going to realistically achieve this with all the other studios who may be making a game and then realize, crap, we got a problem? Xbox should now send its resources to help you to maximize your game when they have games that they should be maximizing. Because I know y'all did not give them an easy time when Starfield was not 60 FPS on the Xbox. Aha. So they needed to focus on their studios, right? So that we don't see anything like that. But everybody was happy when ID Tech's Indiana Jones was 60 FPS. So we can't eat cake and have it again. Here, there are videos on optimization all over the place, shared by Unreal Engine developers, shared by people on YouTube, all over the place. It's the biggest thing right now. In fact, there's a channel called Threat Interactive. They are getting hammered by people within the development community because they've come out to criticize a lot of the development processes. They've even locked their Discord. I'm a subscriber. I want to back them. And I can't get in their Discord anymore because they suspended all invites indefinitely because the internal pushback they're getting for basically calling out poor optimization practices in the industry is just too much for them to deal with. And at the end of the day, this is an internal problem with development, game development overall. Do you guys not remember that they squeezed The Witcher 3 into the PS4? I'll keep going. I won't knock a developer for being honest. I actually applaud them for admitting their experience shortcomings with UE5. Communication is important for problem solving, and right now, he's communicating that he needs help with the Series S. That's fine. We already knew it was a skill issue when we saw the game running on hardware comparable to the Series S. I mean, do you think that we skipped that? Do you think we didn't consider that? Nobody is knocking on everybody. Experience is something that in game development you need. And people being good and doing what it is that they can on their games is very necessary for these games to come out. Do y'all remember when that Rocksteady developer basically, put their foot in their mouth about the Series S? But Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League ended up coming on the Series S, right? But he was an artist. Maybe he got a task and the Series S was frustrating him. Maybe he got exposed as probably not knowing what to do, but I guess they probably found somebody to do it. Or maybe the individuals of engineers in his studio were like, shut up. We got this, because they know what to do. Ubisoft will squeeze a game like Avatar Frontiers of Pandora into the Series S. Why? They have the experience. They know their engine. They have R&D. And so we can't excuse this behavior. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, find the experience. Your game will launch in a better place. I mean, right now, even the PlayStation experience, how optimal is it? How optimal is the experience of the game on PlayStation? From the reports I'm hearing in the comments, a lot of people are saying that it doesn't run, satisfactorily for them. So when you think about it at the end of the day, I strongly believe that right now, this whole matter is very interesting, but the developers can easily solve it if they just say, relax, there's no exclusivity deal. Or they can just leave us to speculate. That's fine. We'll speculate all we want. Peace out.